Hey, Mystic Michaela spiritual family. Welcome to Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela. Today we are talking about parenting and spirituality and how to keep the connection with you and spirit strong while you are in the grind of parenting. And this is for if you're parenting now. This is for if in the future this is something that you're a little nervous about. You're not a parent yet, but you're thinking, oh my gosh, like, can I still continue a practice, or what does that look like? We're going to get into reframing spirituality around parenthood. But first, hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys.
Okay, so this all happened because on the Mystic Michaela Spiritual Family Facebook page, we had a post that was like, whoa. It was like, we have to talk about this. It was a really great post. Michaela H. wrote, does anyone feel like they have gotten way less spiritual since becoming a mom? I was quick confirmed as green purple with yellow sparkles, although I may have changed since I was hustling working then and no kids. I used to do yoga, read spiritual books, meditate, and otherwise have more time for contemplation. Now I have a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old, scatterbrained as ever, and the only thing on my mind most days are feeding, sleeping, wake windows, and all the boring mom logistics. Any tips on getting back in touch with your spiritual side in this season? And the people, the comments were very helpful.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that. First of all, I will add for the dads, too. Put the dads in there as well.
Of course.
So Michaela said a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old.
Right.
This is all I can tell you. Right now, things are probably not going so great for you. That is probably a horrific time period and a great time period at the same time.
Oh, so wonderful.
Yeah. You probably haven't slept.
Yeah.
Yeah. You probably haven't slept at all. I don't know. Maybe you got a shower in there. Who knows?
Well, that's when I learned showers were optional.
Showers are okay.
I learned that when the kids were little. Like, you don't have to shower every day.
Oh, I learned that earlier, but yeah.
But you also used to say, like, when the kids were little, you used to say, as much fun as you could have. You know, like whenever we went somewhere.
I'm still saying that.
Yeah. You were always like, well, that's as much fun as we could have. And you were like, that's right. You know, like, everything's just in the moment.
Yeah, you're in the moment.
You're very in the moment, and it's hard to befriend your oracle deck, right now. Like, I need to spend time with my oracle deck and befriend it, so that it answers my question. Like, that's just not on the mind, But,
and that's okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's really okay.
I just will say that it's going to get better. Like, there's going to be a sweet spot. I think, what is the sweet spot with the kids? I think the sweet spot we have the girls, obviously, was around like 7 to like 11 is like a nice sweet. Then it starts going the other way again.
Oh yeah.
So Michaela, you're gonna have a break. I think you get into that sweet spot, but then you get the teenagers and it starts to go the other way. So
right.
I don't know the answer to this question.
I do know that is when we started the podcast when the kids were really little, and that's when I started.
Yeah, Abby would have been
when I was
4 and Bree 10.
Yeah, and right before I got pregnant with Abby, that's when I started the spiritual practice.
Yeah.
That's when Mystic Michaela came to be,
Correct. Yeah, right, yeah.
Right then. And so I was in the thick of it and starting to read people and really personify the aura colors in the way that I do today. Like, everything was born in what I call the mom zone. And so I feel like for me, and I think a lot of us in the parenting world, you can't really go outward anymore. You got to dig inward because you're in this day-to-day structure, and the only place you can explore or do anything is in your own mind. Okay. That's the only place. You're on kind of like autopilot all day, but your mind is like, what if I did this? What about this? What's this? And a lot of reframing happens, and that's where a lot of the podcast was inspired.
Yes.
By basically, if you can't find spirituality while you're doing dishes and some toddlers hanging on your ankle, you're not going to find it, because you don't have to. Not everything's commodified. You don't have to go to Bali to find who you are.
And that's what I've been saying that since probably one of the first episodes of the podcast. You don't need to go to Bali. Michaela is not going to.
No offense to Bali.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure
with a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old.
Right.
I am sure she's not going to Bali anytime soon.
Yeah.
And that to me is the key.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. Like, we started a documentary on Burning Man, the festival.
Oh, the HBO Max has this documentary on Burning Man.
Yeah. So far, I've only seen that one episode.
Yeah.
So. I'm not going to give it a Scotty recommendation.
That could be a
here.
different episode.
It could be.
Yes.
But the people were talking about, like, they go there to find their spirituality.
Yes.
And to me, sure, you could do that.
Yeah.
And spend, we looked it up. You looked it up, and you told me it costs like at least $3,000 to go.
Yeah, that's like the low end
to Burning Man now.
Yeah.
Very corporate, I guess. I don't know. when it became that way. I guess that's what we'll learn. But you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Like I've always said, you could just do this in your home in those moments. I've been saying that for, I guess, 7 years.
Yes.
So
that's what we're going to talk about today. Like there's hope, but you're going to reframe it, and you're going to think about it differently. And I do want to mention that I really feel like when you first have a child, whether it's adoption or natural, there is a postpartum period where I feel, and I did an episode about it, episode 263. And if this is something that's resonating with you, I highly recommend you go listen to that one if you haven't already, because that is when Spirit hands you someone, a soul, and you not just meet that baby, you're meeting all of their spirit guides, their ancestral trauma, you're meeting their life purpose, and it's infusing with your own energy. And there's a lot of physical symptoms to that, and there's a lot of feelings in the brain, and your aura can change. Everything, it affects everything about you. So that in and of itself is extremely spiritual. Sometimes spiritual isn't fine, like a whoo moment,
right.
Where you're hearing angels speak to you. Sometimes spiritual is like, oh my gosh, I just shed everything I am. I'm a raw nugget of something, and I need to reshape that. And I feel like parenthood does that to you. And you're as you raise your child, you're really re-raising yourself. And it's something that you're co-participating in, parent and child. And it's heavy. It's no joke, man. So I feel like that needs to be validated. It's tough, but sometimes finding spirituality is tough. It's like a real awakening, a dark night of the soul can happen.
All right. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, you're going to talk about reframing the spiritual connection during parenthood.
For me, when I want to eat healthy, when I want to give my body what it needs, I have to know what my weaknesses are. And for me, it's like exhaustion. So when hunger strikes me and I'm tired, that's when I'm going to reach for the stuff that's not so good for my body. But if there's something healthy in my fridge that I don't have to make, then I don't have that problem. And this is where we're talking about Factor, because for me, eating healthy isn't a willpower problem. It's a setup problem. This podcast is sponsored by Factor. This morning, actually, I had some of their egg bites. I had their turkey sausage egg bites because they do breakfast too. And let me tell you, they held me over. It was better than just grabbing a handful of like sugary cereal to eat. It kept me going, kept me on the right track for the day. Factor has meals built around your goals, whether that's weight loss, overall nutrition, or more protein or GLP-1 support for strength and workout recovery. You can check out Factor's Muscle Pro collection. Every meal is fresh. It's never frozen. There's over 100 rotating weekly meal, including globally inspired flavors like Mediterranean, Asian. So there's always something new to look forward to, and everything is so delicious. And I have like a thing for their sauces. Like anytime that like they have like the sauces with their chicken or their pork chops, oh my gosh, they're so good. It's ready in 2 minutes. So Factor shops, preps, cooks, and delivers straight to your door. So you have more time for everything you love to do, and there's no more setup problems. So I use Factor. I highly suggest you give it a shot. Head to factormeals.com/KYA50off and use code KYA50off to get 50% off and free daily greens per box with new subscription only while supplies last until September 27th, 2026. See website for more details. Perhaps in your life before children, you had time to meditate every week. Maybe you loved a retreat. You had time for that yoga meetup with friends. You drank matcha tea. You could converse with your spirit guides at whim. You could take long, inspirational hikes in the woods. And then you have kids. And you're up at 5 a.m. You're up all night. You're covered in spit up. You can smell your kid's dirty diaper and everybody else's, by the way, a mile away. It's your new special talent. You walk into every room and you see, oh, there's 5 ways my kid could die immediately. And you just live with that anxiety. You are tired, hungry, disheveled, anxious. How the heck do you feel spiritual in this new world? And that's what I want to talk about today, because the challenge of connecting with spirit, of feeling spiritual, of connecting with your higher self, of connecting with that which is greater than us when we are in the daily grind is a challenge. But I truly do feel that parenting is one of the ways where you can have a major spiritual awakening. And it's because you're forced to do it in a very different way. And I'm going to talk about that today. So days with young kids, I mean, it's very physically exhausting. Your body is just really tired. So you don't have a lot of energy for a lot other than the daily grind. It can be very mind numbing because you're in a routine and your mind can wander and move and do all sorts of things, but you're stuck in the routine. So you're very busy, but you're stuck. And a big thing I feel like with having kids is, I'll call it the mom zone. There's a lot of things that you want to do, or you realize you're not doing, or you realize you could be doing, or perhaps even talk yourself into should be doing. But instead, there's really no way out of your routine that you have to do in order to provide your kids with the structure and the upbringing that they need. So what can happen is, and this is a big thing, what can happen is you stop wanting things. You stop connecting. It's easier to be numb because when you're numb, then you don't realize what you're missing. So, and it's true, it's hard. Even as they get older, you have to kind of reconnect to joy, or you have to, in a different way, or you have to reconnect to who you used to be, or you have to reconnect to like, oh, wait a second, I forgot, like, I can do this. You have to remind yourself that you have more freedom than you did when they're little, because the constraints are there. Like, that is true, but you can connect to spirit on a very deep and profound level while you're in the daily grind. Me personally, I started this whole thing when right before I got pregnant with Abby. She's 11 now. So for me, being a mom and then becoming a mom for the second time while starting my spiritual practice of, readings and doing work like this, it was very together. So there were kind of like 2 versions of me, and I would definitely be the psychic version of me at the same time as being the normal mom version of me. I learned how to merge it, and how I learned how to merge it was, this has to work in my life as it is today. This has to be something that is authentic to me in the daily grind with my own kids, so that it can work for me to read people on the level that they need me at. And somehow I wove that together, and that's why we have this podcast, and that's why that is truly why I approach every level of spirituality from the right now, where you're at, where you're standing level. It's already inside of you is my point. Like every book I write, or every time I try to, do a topic on the podcast, it's like, where are you right now? And you have enough tools in you to begin. There's nothing outside of yourself that you need to do to access the portal to spirit, spirituality, higher self, that which is greater than us. It's already there. And when you're parenting and when you're in the daily grind, I need to remind you that you have all the tools available to you. They're already there. You just have to look at them a little differently. And you might have to say, like, what is easiest for me to do right now? And what am I working with? And how can I repurpose what I got going on? So it's really like reframing parenting with the spirituality. It's a practice, because the first thing that you're doing when you're parenting is, and this is a huge spiritual thing, is most likely you're reinventing the wheel. Okay. Not many people who parent in our 3D world outside of, this spiritual community talk about parenting and connecting with higher self and life purpose in the way that we do. And so you're reinventing how you're doing things. You're reinventing what's authentic to me, what's meaningful to me. You're really being present in your child's life and how you're interpreting it and how you're adding to it. A lot of times, many of you are doing an extremely profound spiritual practice, and that is breaking trauma, breaking chains, breaking generational impasses that have been thrown upon you. I would say number one thing I notice when I'm doing readings and people are the parents of young children is, wow, you are tasked right now with changing everything that was given to you, and you're kind of like a break wall, and all of that old energy is breaking on you like waves on a cliff, and you're reevaluating, wait, do I say this? Wait, do I believe this? Wait, do I want to pass that on to my child? Wait, do I want to continue that type of pattern in my child's life? And 9 out of 10 things that break against that wall, you're like, no, I don't. And guess what you have to do? You're using all this energy to tap in to that portal in yourself and rewrite how to give that gift to your children, to the next generations that are coming from your line, a new way of doing things. That is major spiritual work. You are working with your guides. You're working with your higher self. You're working with that which is greater than us. You're working with universe energy. You are working with all of that to rewrite a script. And that's exhausting and tiring, but also really rewarding. And I want you to notice how you're doing that, because right there is very connected to spiritual work, 100%. Another thing is when you have a kiddo, I always say, if you had a reading with me, sometimes I say this, the Lord gifts us our triggers. I really believe that, you have a little kid and maybe you have a couple and they all kind of do something and you're like, oh my gosh, like there's my insecurity. So for me, for example, one of my kids was always making a scene, and I'm indigo and very wallflower and was raised to walk on eggshells and like really not make a scene and don't stand out and don't take the spotlight up or anything like that. And guess what I had a kid that was like kind of the mean one at the playground. Okay. I did. And I'm out there on top of it. I'm so sorry. Now we share. Nope, we're not going to do that. Put her hair down. Nope, say sorry or we're going to leave the park. Like I'm like the one that all the moms are looking at. And what is that? That was something that I had to look at myself and be like, hey, wait a second. Okay, we're going to meet this head on. This is an insecurity. This is something I'm stressed out about. I was raised to be so good. It was really important, but obviously I'm not raising my kid to be like that. And I have to deal with the consequences. And I'm just really confronting it head on with my kid. That is profoundly triggering. But in that trigger, in that wound, there's a lot that has to be cleared up. There's a lot that has to be worked through. And there's a lot in myself that I healed. And then there's a lot with my own kid that it was like, okay, let's approach this with personal responsibility. Let's talk about this differently. Let's avoid shame and do more accountability. So that's a lot of work too. So whatever your kids kind of prompts in you as an insecurity, that is a very spiritual experience where you are working on something that could be an insecurity or a trigger, or an issue or something that's uncomfortable for you. And if you have kids, you have all those things staring right back at you with little cute faces all the time. It's a gift. So you can see those challenges as we can reframe them as gifts. You're like, oh, what a gift this is that I just had to apologize to 3 moms at the park and have my kids say sorry. And what a gift this was for me because I learned. But seriously, that's like a moment where you're owning it, you're dealing with it, and you're like, all right, I lived, I survived, I rewrote that, moving on. I have a daughter who's off to college in a year, and I've been finding myself talking to her about being smarter about money when I realized like, hey, maybe I need to get a little smarter about money too. And this was a crazy wake up call. I realized I needed help. All right. So Rocket Money has helped me set budgets and goals, get personalized insights, regular reports, receive real-time alerts, for example, for large transactions, or let me know about any upcoming bills, refunds, low balances. And then users who create a financial goal with Rocket Money tend to see meaningful savings momentum within their first month. And it's just amazing to really see, oh my gosh, like these are my patterns and this is what I'm doing and this is what's going in and this is what's coming out. And it allows me to have more financial literacy when it comes to myself and helps me be a better parent to someone who is really learning from the ground up, which is my kid. I also love how Rocket Money consolidates checking, savings, loans, investments into a single dashboard, which gives me a clear view of my financial picture. And Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/KYA. That's rocketmoney.com/KYA. rocketmoney.com/KYA. I feel like there's other things too that can come up when you're parenting that are also extremely spiritual. For example, it's very easy to get disconnected from yourself. You know, your identity is totally shifted. You're no longer who you were. It is an overnight change that you kind of like, you may resist for a while, and then all of a sudden it creeps up on you and you're like, wow, yeah, and then you could feel kind of like lost in the woods about it. And anytime you're lost in the woods about who you are, or what your identity is, or what you're going through, it's a great opportunity to attempt to find yourself again. And so in these long days, yet short years, you're reframing this as like I said, the mom zone or the dad zone, where it's a transformative time for you and your child. You are both changing every day as you grow and you evolve with the person that you're raising. And so you're raising them, but you're also evolving as you do so. You are not the same person who started this journey. And every day you are evolving over time, and it's a deep transformational spiritual change. Another thing that I feel like is really profound when, or a way to think about as you're connecting to your spirituality as you're parenting, is connecting to your child's soul, not just their performance in this ego-driven world. Like, what can my child teach me? Also, they come into this world, they're very pure. They don't have the 3D hangups that we have, meaning the ego-driven societal guidebook hangups that we have. And yes, we have to rear them to be empathic and compassionate, but also polite and have manners and fit in. Yes, yes, yes. But also they're free. They're like just little bundles of, they're going to do what the flip they want, and they say things and they have these impulses and they have this curiosity and they have this creativity, and connecting to that in their soul and looking at it with wonderment. Of course it's exhausting and it makes you just want to cry sometimes and just, can you please just flip and take a nap, kid, so I can have an hour by myself? Yes, all that. But also the other parts of it, just kind of like go with it. What can I learn about this? Sometimes you just have to throw your hands up in the air when they're little and just be like, okay, whatever. What did I learn today? Like, what did this teach me? What did this show me? What can I let go of that actually doesn't matter? Okay. She wants to wear a princess dress to the grocery store, and every mom's going to look at me like I'm a nut, but what does this teach me about like what really matters? Does that really matter if she wears this to school today? It doesn't. Okay. Like, and it shouldn't matter. So I feel like just kind of the letting things go and the seeing it through their eyes can assist with that spiritual focus as well. And I feel like another thing is, as we nurture our children, we're really nurturing our inner child. You see that playful spirit that was repressed in you or kind of shut down or shut away or put away can come out the more you spend time with your kiddo and the more you kind of connect to what they're into. And you find your own ways to be playful and you find your own interests, and you can probably even remember things that used to make you tick a little or make you kind of think or make you kind of light up. And it's rediscovering them as you're with your child. And we'll get into that when I talk about daily things to do. And I guess like also connecting to that which is greater than us when you're raising kids, like whatever that looks like to you, but in an authentic and from the inner self kind of way, like curiosity, reflection, conversations, gratitude, you know, just bringing that into your daily routine with the kids. Oh, why do you like that? Why does that, what colors make you, super excited? What's your favorite, why is purple your favorite color in that, in the crayon box? Like just asking them questions, just like getting them talking. It makes you think. It's can feel very preschool sometimes and your brain's not in it. But when you do feel inspired to do so, when you have the energy, kind of throwing yourself into it really does open up that connection between you and your child. And there's a lot of inspirational thought from spirit that can kind of come in and make you feel connected to the bigger picture or that which is greater than us or your spirituality, whatever you want to call it. Long story short, I really feel like kids are portal connections to the other side. They're very new here. They're very shiny and fresh and they're very connected to the other side. And when you spend a lot of time with them, that's why I always like teaching, because kids are authentic, you know, like they are just, they're just real, you know? So with your own kids, it's like spending time with them. It's so refreshing and it's honest and it's as close as you can get to the other side. I feel. I think that's one of the closest ways you can get to the other side, like spending time with your kids in a way that's like open and pure and curious. What else? Oh, I wanted to talk about daily things to do. So these are things, and feel free to add to these. These are my own suggestions and also things that I've taken just from observing other parenting styles. Okay. Morning or evening or both mindfulness. What'd you dream about last night? What do you think it meant? Oh, you know, did you like that dream? Was it scary? Was it interesting? Just ask them about kind of like dreams. If you can tell they're going off in their own fantasy world, just go for it. You know, let them just talk and just get into their imagination with them. It's encouraging them to reflect. It's validating that they have a world that's inside of themselves, that's connected to something bigger than what we see or what we participate in the 3D, in the physical world. Maybe at night we go over what we're grateful for. What made you sad today? What made you happy today? What are you looking forward to tomorrow? Again, just kind of getting them, and it helps us too. I mean, how often do we sit down and we like really talk in this way with ourselves? It's very constructive. It's very building blocks for how a kid can cope later, what they can focus on, what grounds them. Okay, when I was raising my kids, here's another one. I really got into, back up. Find something that you like to do. You know, like if you don't like to play Barbies, don't play Barbies. Okay. Like, and that, maybe that's controversial, but this is my own. Like, if you like to do something, do it. If you're not really into it, don't. But like, try to find something. Okay. Like for me, I really like to read. And I really got into children's books when the kids were little, and I was obsessed with like the literature, children's literature, you know, the picture books. I got really into like, who's the illustrator, who's the author. I like love Jan Brett, you know, like I'm like so into the different children's authors and children's illustrators. I got into it. And, you know, like Hungry Caterpillar or Stella Luna. And I would talk about it with the kids, and then I'd go to library hour and we'd read it like with all the other little kids. And then later I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'd be like, that's like Stella Luna. I'd see a bat or something. We talk about it. I loved just looking at these pictures with my kids, getting into the stories with them, kind of the world of children discovering what is around us through their eyes, allowing myself to reabsorb the wonder and the lessons and the meaning. To me, that was very spiritual and meaningful and fun. But you know what I don't like to do? I don't like to play Barbies. I have girls. I just didn't. But when they were like, Mom, play Barbies, I'm like, okay, but I'm going to do it my way. because I feel like you have to connect in how it works. Like, I like Barbie makeover. That is what I will do. Okay. I will sit there and they each have a look and I will get into it. My point is, be authentic. Don't force yourself to do something that you don't want to do. You know, if you like to garden, go garden and bring the kids with you, but give them a section that they don't have to worry about doing it super correctly. You know what I mean? Like, be authentic. Like, let kids see you be happy and excited and curious and be childlike and be into it. I think that that's really important for your kids to see that side of you, but don't force yourself to do stuff you don't like doing. I think I hope that makes sense. So stretching yourself, is my point, is something that allows you to kind of connect while you're also parenting. So you're connecting to yourself and you're connecting to your spirituality, but you're also parenting. I think another thing is like nature connections, like anything outside, building empathy for plants or animals or bugs, you know, fairy gardens. We're going to make a birdhouse for the winter because the birds look hungry out there, you know, things like that. Like, kind of allowing them to see the world and then see what they can do to help it or interact with it. Also, grounding activities, like we're going to go outside and we're going to, you know, collect leaves that have fallen and we're going to talk about the leaves. We're going to make a book of leaves. Little like things like these nature activities can actually be very grounding and can connect yourself to nature, your children to nature. So it's, as you teach children to kind of do things in a way that you wish you were taught how to do something, that is a huge connection to spirit. It's a huge connection to self, and it's very rewarding. I guess also finding ways to be helpful. Wave to the neighbor, bring in the garbage cans for them, you know, little things like that. You know, I think, you know, we're going to donate your toys to this toy drive. Which ones don't you use? Oh, wouldn't a little boy like that? Wouldn't a little girl like that? You know, you're not playing with it anymore. Isn't that something they'd like? You know, what, you know, those things they don't want, not things that they're attached to, obviously, but just allowing them to feel like they can make a difference or they can help. It reminds you the same thing. I think a big thing we fight in this world is the sense that we don't matter or the sense that our presence isn't important. And I feel like that's something that is a huge spiritual practice, to know that you are a small light in the darkness, but a bright one, and teaching your kid that too. You know, I can't make a difference to everybody, but I can make a difference to that person, to somebody, that kind of thing. I also feel like in general, just sharing your own thoughts and dreams and curiosity with your kiddos, just demonstrating your emotions as well. I think a big thing I get when I read a lot of kids and parents, and then you give me pictures of your kids, is they know how you feel, like they know where you're at. So you might as well just validate them, like not hiding things from them. I think it's also a great way to bring your own spiritual practice into parenting in a developmentally appropriate way, obviously, you know, but kind of notice, yes, you may notice that mommy's a little frazzled today. I'm a little frazzled, but I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to have a system. And I'm going to work out my system. You know, just kind of speaking it aloud. Yes, mommy's a little sad today. I had a rough day at work, but you know what? Your hug, make it all better. Thank you so much. Let's read a book tonight. Go play. Thank you so much. Thanks for checking in on me. Like validating that they do know you, validating that what they just picked up on you is correct. And then also, another thing I notice sometimes when kids act out, they're kind of picking up on something that maybe you're so used to repressing or not saying, that they're trying to show it to you in some way. Which, back to my kiddo on the playground, when they used to have like their little moments with other kids, it was like, oh, I noticed that you're really nervous that I'm going to make a scene. So I guess I'll make a scene like that, you know? So it's very much like, oh, I will show you what your problem is so you can fix it. Thanks. You know? So I think having kids it's like you're walking around with a big old mirror, and they are showing you all the time what you can work on, what you're trying to hide, what you repressed, what your problems are. And they stare at you and you're just like, okay, either I'm going to, you know, further repress this or deal with it now in a healthy way and flush it out so that they don't carry it on into their lives. And that was the purpose of this whole episode, how to reframe parenting into spiritual parenting. Just remembering that, yes, your life right now is a daily grind. Yes, It is a routine that can be extremely mind-numbing, but within it is a context in which maybe you can't go expand outward so much right now because your life's kind of limited schedule-wise, but you sure can dig down real deep there where you are. It makes you very focused to dig deep. And that is what kids allow you the opportunity to do as you're raising them. I want to hear your own suggestions, how you feel about this, anything you'd like to add over on the Mystic Michaela Spiritual Family Facebook page. You know this podcast is for you and about you, and I'm so glad you spent some time with us today.